I spent 10 days at a Vipassana course over the holidays. Christmas, New Year's, my birthday somewhere in the middle. No phone, no speaking, no reading, no eye contact. Just me, a cushion, and about 10 hours a day sitting still. I didn't go there to prove anything or find enlightenment. Honestly, I just wanted to hit pause. I wanted to see what my mind actually looks like when you strip away the noise. Though I'd be lying if I said I came with no expectations at all. I first read The Art of Living about 10 years ago. It's the book that introduced me to the ideas behind Vipassana. It helped me understand my emotions in a way nothing else had. So when the car pulled into the temple grounds, the open farmland stretching out in light rain, and I walked into the meditation hall for the first time, there was something hopeful in my chest. A quiet determination, too. I would not be one of those people who leave halfway through. And the place took care of us. All vegetarian, all from their organic farm. Simple dishes, light but full of flavor. You could taste the care in every bite, from the growing to the cooking. A cup of milk tea every morning that became a small anchor in the long hours of sitting. I did stay all 10 days, but by day 6, staying didn't feel like something to be proud of anymore. The first few days were mostly just pain, physical pain. My back screamed, my knees went numb. I was negotiating with gravity every 5 minutes. Day 6. The grass was still impossibly green for Chilliwack in winter, but that morning it was coated in a thin layer of frost. It crunched under my feet on the way to the meditation hall. Freezing rain had come in overnight. We'd been sleeping in socks and hats for days by then, lucky enough to have them. The hall wasn't much warmer. I sat down on my cushion and waited for my knees to start complaining again. By then, the physical pain had become background noise. What took center stage was something else. Resistance to the technique itself. The method they teach is structured. You scan your body systematically, top of the head, forehead, nose, lips, throat, observing every sensation as you move down. Then you start over, again and again, like painting a fence, one slat at a time. For a lot of people, this structure is exactly what they need. If your mind is chaotic, it gives you an anchor. It keeps you from drifting into fantasy or falling asleep. But for me, it felt unnatural. I've always experienced reality as flow, like a river. And this technique felt like being asked to freeze the river into ice cubes. Examine each cube separately and say, this is water. This is also water. It created a split. There was me, the observer, and it, the body. Instead of dissolving into the experience, I was standing on the riverbank, taking notes. I started to realize this method builds incredible focus, but for me, it was blocking the very sense of wholeness I was looking for. Then came day 9. The sun was generous that day, and everyone came outside to walk. The temple sits in an open valley, mountains glowing gold in the afternoon light, pine trees with dew still clinging to their tips, catching the sun like they'd stolen the sparkles from last night's stars. That evening, there was a lecture by Goenka, the teacher who developed this lineage. He was talking about the ultimate goal, liberation, freedom from suffering. The assumption is that everyone sitting in that hall is trapped in the same cycle, craving and aversion, wanting and pushing away, never quite at peace. And Vipassana is the medicine. But sitting there in the dark, I had a strange realization. I don't think I'm here to be cured. I'm here to look, to understand what suffering actually is. I want to examine the structure of craving, the architecture of anger, the whole messy ecosystem of it. I'm not trying to make it stop. I want to see what it is. If I just take the medicine and make the symptoms disappear, I get peace. But I haven't met the creature. So here's where I landed. If your intention is to heal, to finally put down the weight of craving and aversion, this path is powerful. If your intention is to understand, to look directly at the chaos without rushing to fix it, you might find the medicine a little numbing. Both are real, different doors. Now, you might be thinking, so you spent 10 days, including your birthday, struggling with a technique you didn't even like? Yes, and also no. Because here's the strange part. Despite all that friction, I left those 10 days feeling sharper, clearer, and more grounded than I have in years. And I realized the insight didn't come from the body scanning technique. It came from the container. The 4 a.m. wake-up bell, the total digital detox, the sheer volume of silence. When you remove every distraction for 10 days straight, your mind has no choice but to process its own backlog. Old memories surface. Patterns you've been avoiding become obvious. Things you thought you dealt with come back up for one last look. And then, somewhere in that stillness, something else happened. Something I wasn't looking for. I honestly can't tell you which day. They all blur together. But I felt something shift at a level I didn't know was possible. I've carried something heavy for most of my life. An attachment so deep I built entire patterns around it. In that silence, it just dissolved. Not through effort, not through willpower. It simply wasn't there anymore. And when that weight lifted, something else came through. I felt what I can only call love. Not the kind between people, not the kind you have to earn. The kind that was already holding everything together, quietly, before I thought to look for it. And strangest of all, the self I thought I was began to dissolve too. Not in a scary way, more like ice melting back into water. Like I was remembering something I'd always known, but had forgotten. It sounds abstract, I know. Maybe one day I'll find better words for it. Maybe I'll make a whole video trying. But in that moment, it was the most concrete thing I'd ever experienced. I'm not saying I figured anything out. Something shifted, that's all. And it didn't come from following the instructions perfectly. It came from making space for something to show up on its own. You go somewhere looking for one specific answer, and you don't find it. But you come home with a suitcase full of something you didn't know you needed. Thanks for being here. This is Uncarved, where we sit with the unfinished, the unpolished, the parts of life still taking shape.